Good day and welcome to virtual concert halls. Music performance and education fields suffered greatly from the current situation. This project was created by professional musicians with the help of many others. It is our response to the closures of performance venues and to not knowing when and how we can return to the physical concert halls to continue doing what we love and value. Thank you for tuning in. Masterclass is an ages old form of collaboration among artists of different generations. It is an opportunity to interact, to build connection, to bridge the experience and aspiration. Foremost, it is an opportunity for the youth to be enriched by maturity and for the mastery to share its depth and wisdom. Today, we welcome four pianists to experience a masterclass in this new virtual form. Please welcome Antoni Kleczek. Antoni, welcome. Antoni is 13 years old. He currently studies piano with Martin Labazevich at Lenin School of Music in Washington, D.C., and he's joining us from his home in Virginia. Jennifer Wang. Jennifer, welcome. Jennifer is 22 years old. She's a master program student of Professors Yefrem Briskin and Arkady Aronov at Manhattan School of Music in New York. She's also joining us from her home in Virginia. Alexander Breitenbach. Welcome, Alexander. Alexander is 22. He studies piano at Cologne University of Music, the Europe's largest academy of music, with Professor Florence Millet. And he's joining us from his apartment in Siegen, Germany. Welcome. And now, please welcome Pavel Nersessian. Welcome, Pavel. So good to see you with us. Pavel is an active concertizing artist. He's a professor of Moscow Conservatory and Boston University College of Fine Arts, and my dear friend. Of course, I want to ask everyone many questions, but I know our young participants are eager to play and immerse in the beauty of the music. It's our favorite of the languages, isn't it? The one beyond words. So I'm going to welcome on stage Antoni, who will perform for us Rhapsody number 10 by Franz Liszt. Enjoy.
Not much applause from my part, but thank you very much. That was a wonderful playing, and of course I will use some of your features for some of your details in order to show some probably some plans, some perspectives. But it was a very very good playing. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, wonderful. Well done. So I love this Rhapsody very much. I find it so inspiring. What do you think? For example, if you show me the folk life, people's life, what would you show except just dancing? What can these people do?
Dance, have fun.
Have fun in what? How?
Mm,
Dancing
Maybe
is one of the funs, yes.
mm,
And we can detect it immediately. What else?
I think of eating.
Eating, okay, and probably singing. I simply, by the way, you said eating, and I'm thinking, how can I musically show that I'm eating? That's a difficult job. Probably in Tom and Jerry cartoons, you can find somebody eating and somebody making music for the eating itself. But I find this job very difficult. I would pay more attention to singing, to dancing, and also to something which can surround that. For example, if these people are dancing, are they dancing inside a house, inside a home, or probably they have a beautiful landscape? So why I'm asking that, why I'm pushing you towards this idea, is that you can also show some landscaping beautiful moments. For example, there is, if you remember, there is one tremolo part, ta ta beautiful part. I would compare that with big sky, probably mountains, probably birds singing, probably some little melancholy, but huge space of sound. For me, this juxtaposition of something which is very entertaining and something which makes you think that the life is beautiful in general but not in just dancing, that's a good idea. So in this very moment I would play it more gentle, tam pam with more anti echoing, with more spacey sky. I need big sky. For me, this Rhapsody is not just people, but also people inside the big, beautiful landscapes. Yeah, it is Hungarian music. Have you ever been to Hungary?
No.
No. Can you imagine about this country? Is it green? Is it mountainous? Is it north? Is it what it is like? What do you think?
Not sure really.
Cold, warm? Say it again.
Not sure really. I can't. I never really thought of imagining Hungary.
You should.
Really.
You should. You should be curious about things like that. It's a wonderful mental exercise to imagine what a composer means and where. If it is Hungarian Rhapsody, it means that it is Hungarian landscape and Hungarian people, Hungarian language, Hungarian dances, Hungarian songs. Everything is included. So Hungary is a very beautiful country, not terribly mountainous, but there are some plenty of hills and plenty of valleys. There is one big lake which everybody knows, and also there are plenty of wine. So it's more southern than northern. So it means something. For me, this music is very welcoming, very warm. So, but you generally you do that quite well. So let's go back to musical stuff. The same, slightly. I said about my melancholic or probably more spacey approach in this in this tremolo thing, which imitates, by the way, one of the folk instrument, which is called cymbalin, if you know that. This with silvery sound, but I will say something about this glissando moment. For me, you played it too fast, and it doesn't. Strangely enough, fast doesn't always mean virtuoso. So if you play tam, virtuoso means not just ability to play fast, but it means the ability to listen fast, to speak fast, but also in so perfect diction that I can catch just about every letter. Do you know, for example, Vladimir Horowitz, pianist? Yes. He is considered a great virtuoso. But if you compare the length of his recordings with other uh, pianists, he doesn't play it shorter than them, so he doesn't play it faster. So what's the key in this virtuoso approach? Articulation. Articulation is a universal thing. You can make it even slower, but with controlling every short note. By the way, sometimes just before that, before this glissando section, you also have this tara 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 tara. For example, this element. It is repeated several times. If you played tara 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 tara, so there is no impression of virtuoso. So what Horowitz would do is tara 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 tara. So with special and very detailed approach to each note. And this is mostly applied to upper voice. So if you consider this glissando not just a technical task which is traveling from one note to another and then back, but can you start this glissando section? And now one little task. Ta. Imagine that you are starting this note, and I not immediately hear the change and the higher notes in the scale, but pa, little stop and almost piano, and then ta. Can you do that? I mean, to stop in the beginning, the first note. Piano, pa. You know, it takes some effort for me to move to the piano, but I will try. Don't be surprised with some extra noises. Not everything is perfect here. I already forgot. I played it many years ago. So try to make this fun effects. Look. Yeah, that's better already, but when you play it straight and when you play it predictable way, I don't feel any risk. By the way, virtuoso is two things. I told already about a good articulation and perfect control, but also it is something like a challenge or probably a risk or probably a danger. So imagine that you are going high, very high, like a bird, like a fledgling or a little bird who is flying for the first time in his life. Ooh. So I need to understand that the highest top note is very far away and very high. So if you reach it easily, so there is no challenge. Can you show me the challenge, difficulty? So that's better. That's better. For me, this little unpredictability, little flexibility makes a better effect. You play actually slower, but I have the feeling that it is much more virtuoso. So let's go back to the beginning when you just the beginning of the Rhapsody, and try to pay attention to the upper voice itself, not just difficult chords. They are quite difficult, these chords, and you are wonderful. You are very comfortable with them, so I appreciate that. But at the same time, you can do some more interesting dimension of approaching to this upper voice by doing them articulated, like pam ta 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 tam ta tam ta ta ra ta ta tam, trying to avoid that simple way of articulating, but pam and then high tam ta ra pa pa ram tra pam, which includes also a dancing gestures. Yes, I prefer that. It gives me a feeling of comfort, but also it prefers me this inviting gesture of a dancer who starts a big general common dance. I like it, but I would not do diminuendo at the end. So which diminuendo at the end?
Do the do the
I would not.
Oh, I wouldn't. Okay.
Yeah, even if it the resolution, I mean dominant tonic, doesn't mean that there is no conflict. Actually, there will be a second phrase and the third phrase, and so this one dancer, another, everybody is joining this common general dance, which is not diminuendo but crescendo in terms of theatrical addition of people. You see, so I would do it much very welcoming. Can you try to make this as welcoming as possible? Also, dominant tonic, which is a very usual thing, can you turn it into something which is welcome? You see? At the end of the phrase. At the end of the phrase. Here, I mean here, you show me that you're shy. Taram, taram, pom, pom.
Ah, okay.
Don't melt. You're not an ice cream, and ice cream is not inviting many people. You should keep it to yourself, otherwise everybody would eat it. So tam pa 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 pam param to taram tram tam pam. Put yourself slightly forward. Yes, and second stage. And the third and the biggest one. So every phrase here, one, two, and big three, are ending with a tonica. So there is a feeling of happiness, of affirmative power, and you are doing that. And I need them, one, two, and big three, to be kind of coordinated. One, and then second, which is bigger, and the third, which is the biggest one. You see, because when you played the first time, I had the impression that you have beautifully done. So I know the key, and the second phrase will be more or less the same. I was wrong. This ends with dominant. And the third was the same. So now you can do it again and try to eliminate that. The third is a big sum addition. Second stage. I feel that you are sometimes probably bored or probably not entertained enough. Sometimes you change the tendency to go up and then tendency to go down. You want to be lovely and you want to be nice and then you want to be courageous. So don't change it that much. For me, this is too many things which you are trying to show at the beginning of the piece. You see, I would do just directly. Very elegant, very elastic, very dancing, very inviting, but more or less generally in one mood. Okay? One more thing. Again, a very important thing. Articulation is very detailed attention to every note. And pedal is something which makes neighboring notes connected, probably, be it a chord or be it a melody. So for me, pedal is not a friend to good articulation. Sometimes you have ta-tam, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-tam, especially in the third phrase. You have this scale up, and you keep the same pedal, clearly respecting your left hand, which brings the harmony. So you are respecting harmony. respecting. You're showing me that pedal is connected with the harmony thing. That's of course possible, but at the same time you're showing me the upper voice, which has very very rapidly changing upper notes. So your pedal neglects them. Can you understand? That's logically very, very easy to understand, but you need to do it acoustically. Tam, ta, 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 tam. And I feel that the pedal is not comfortable, it doesn't sound beautiful, and many, many notes are smothered and they are not articulated. So, can you. I have mosquitoes, I'm sorry, quite many. Sorry. I'm in Moscow, by the way. So you have this upper voice. Uh, can you do that with a very very detailed pedal for every note? And if it is too short, don't use pedal at all.
So in the third phrase or in all three?
You can start anywhere. Just try to make your ear focused on that problem.
But in the third phrase, right?
Yeah, I mentioned the third because it was the most evident there, but the problem is everywhere. You can start anywhere. I will pick it up. Yeah, yeah. The third is really the worst. The first and the second were quite good. Tam pa 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 pa. I remember my own feeling when I felt suddenly unsafe when I didn't use pedal. So I felt like I was suddenly very high, which I don't like to be very, very, I mean, high above something. I have this fear of a high altitude. So that's what I felt. Tam, ta, 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 tam. Can you try to do it without pedal? On the tiptoes.
No pedal.
Let's check how much pedal can we use without spoiling up, harming upper voice. Yes, that was better. That was much better. You know what? Another little example of how you should find this articulational challenges just about everywhere. You play this grace note. You have these grace notes in the top voice. Tam ta 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 ram tram pam pam. You play it like a cluster, like a broken I don't know egg. Boom. Yeah, and if you play it like a good violinist, no ta ram ti ti pum 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 pum, detach them. By the way, of course, I would encourage you to learn something about Hungarian folk art, and also to learn what normal and common instruments uh, used in the Hungarian folk music, and it will be violin first. Probably gypsy, probably Hungarian, but violin will be the first. And violin is a highly articulated instrument. They physically cannot do that ta ra pum 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 like we pianists can do. So ta ram ta tum pum pum. Can you give me more character and detached notes here? Second phrase. That will be the second phrase.
Oh, the second phrase.
Here, yeah, here. Ta ra ta ram ta ram pa pum pa pum.
Sorry.
I prefer that. Yeah, yeah. Don't play it flat, like you're slapping two notes together. Ta-tum, pa-pum, pa-pum. Yes. Yeah, I prefer that. Almost staccato. It's strange. It's strange. You play them staccato, but acoustically they are better connected. And the reality of your listener is more important than what you feel or you are doing. If I hear them connected, then you're a winner. So you know what? I don't need to go with you with every little detail. because you are quite well prepared. And it is also very easy to make an impression in open lesson. Actually, the most important thing comes when you work with your teacher every day. So this is not everyday work what we are having, and you have evidently an excellent teacher. So everything is prepared. So my task is just to make it a little makeup here. So what I would also do, imagine that there is after you've played these three phrases, you have a turn modulation to B major. Do you remember? Sol fa da da pa 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 dum.
Ah. Mm,
Yes. So you play it like you've learned that by memory, and you don't surprise yourself with this sudden turn. Imagine that you are inviting people for a I don't know, peasant dance, and they are, let's go to this place, look at this beautiful place, we will dance here today. Taram, po, 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 po. Be more surprised. Can you do it?
okay.
Sol fa la do da dum. You know what? Suddenly you don't feel comfortable, and this feeling of surprise. Yeah, try to understand. Uh, I pushed comfort away from you because I asked you to start here and to do something new, and you lost this comfort. But losing this comfort also brings the feeling that you are going in a road which you don't know yet. Can you play it more smooth, more prepared? It's not necessary to play fast, but keep the same surprising quality. Like it is the first time you go this road. You know, I like it more. You can use every tonal turn. For example, there is one ta ra pa 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 ra pa pa, and there is a second one ta ram pam param tirim tirim turum 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 turum. Second one. So you do it the first time quite well, but second time you just don't feel. Can you do it both times? Yeah. Before you start, don't forget that tonality is a universal language which everybody understands. Educated musicians like you, or non-educated musicians like everyone who is supposed just to come to your recital and to listen to you. You see? So that's a language which everybody knows. Again, so show me that you can use this language, tonality language, and its changes. And again, don't melt at the end. You were in the beginning of a rather big piece. I don't mean now. Now. And also, don't forget about pedaling, because now the pedaling returns back to this very comfortable, comfortable, ever use pedal which never stops. Okay, it doesn't sound dirty, but it sounds that you can do it more probably jumpy, more airy quality. Yeah, don't play it again because I liked what you do. Sometimes when I go on stage, when I practice, I try to find several ways of articulation of several versions of this phrase, and when I go on stage, I use one of those versions just to make it feel fresh. You know, freshness is something which your audience is expecting from you. It doesn't. You should never show that you've prepared that piece. It should go without saying that you prepared that. But for the audience, you should show that it's been just composed in front of their eyes, ears. You understand why? It's the difference between a food which is frozen, which has been frozen and reheat, and the food which is prepared just in front of your eyes and given to you. There's a huge, huge difference. So this fresh feeling is something which you can imitate by choosing several versions and preparing several versions and giving just one on the concert. One little thing at the end, which is a difficult thing, and you are quite convincing there. But the dances, if you are playing music which is a dance, generally speaking, don't forget that this dance is not designed for your fingers. We don't have finger dances. We have body dances, and body is much heavier thing usually than fingers. So you should make me aware that I can enter this dance. I can jump the proposed tempo. Because of course that's very fast, and I appreciate your achievements here, technical achievements here. But I simply it exists separately from me. You are not inviting myself. I would prefer that. Also, this down, 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 down. Yeah, down. Yeah, for me that's still physically feasible to jump this way, but faster, no. And if you have country people dancing, they're usually drunk. They're usually happy. They don't make records. They don't make it as fast as the uh, Olympic Games. No, not this way. So they are doing it for the pleasure. So here you need to choose the tempo which would show the pleasure of fast jumping. Can you do that la da bum 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 bum? Stop. Stop. I like this tempo, but there are side effects. For example, pedaling, which is again, I compare this pedaling to mayonnaise. You can sometimes correct if you cook something which is not under good taste. You can more or less improve it with mayonnaise. But if you have an excellent food, mayonnaise can spoil it. So pedal is the same way. So don't use when you play the pedal was too much. Taram taram tadatam again too much pedal, and then you have rubato, which sounds like your habit. Taram pa pam pa 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 pam pam param taram ta 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 tam pam pam tam pam. Then you stopped, and then you restarted again. And I simply don't have any justification of that. So I would play directly in one tempo and probably without too much elasticity because you've had it enough before. Also, I need a final thing. I need a final climax, which tam pam pam, not too fast, but without excessive rubato. Can you and don't forget about the pedal. Can you start the same place? Pedal, 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 pedal. Yeah, look, you have your left hand is repeated, so the harmony is quite well kept. You don't need to keep it on top of that with the pedal. You don't need pedal here because upper voice is moving. So, yes, I prefer that. I prefer that. I would do a little but steady steady accelerando towards the end without any change of tempo, just directly to the last chord. One long, uh, very steady, not too fast, accelerando towards the end. That was the best version now, and I liked it quite much. And also, you skipped this rubato, which sounds like being prepared before. You see? Yeah, but still be very attentive to pedaling, especially when you go lower. Do you remember that you have a you have the same phrase repeated second time or an octave lower. So I immediately detect that there is much more pedal, even if you use the same amount of pedal. So because lower notes are longer, and they don't need to be supported as much. So as your music is going lower, it means less pedal at once. You see? Thank you very much, Anthony. And
Thank you.
I appreciate your courage, and I appreciate your teacher, and I appreciate that you're quite prepared. And thank you very much for being courage. We can stop here.
Thank you.
Good luck. Until next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can stay, of course.
Yes, this was. Please stay with us and watch the rest of the class. Anthony, I wanted to ask you a question. Are you still there? Can we have the camera back on?
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. Yeah, you performed in so many master classes by now on different stages and different settings, classrooms, studios, concert halls. You normally would be in probably no more than 6 feet away from the master, sharing his experience and his advice with you. How did it feel to you for the first time to be in a virtual master class? You realize there's about almost 5,000 miles distance between you and Professor Nersessian. How did it feel?
I think it was similar in that I had to perform under pressure and listen carefully. But I think the pressure was a little bit different than if I was in the same room with the professor. But I learned a lot, just like if it were face to face, and this was a great experience.
Thank you.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm also happy to hear that because pressure is felt differently. You are very clever to feel that it is. But I feel that you immediately understand my idea and also you follow that. So I really don't feel anything in between you and me. So thank you very much for great understanding.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for your comments.
Yeah, across the Atlantic.
Yes, this is really, um, to me, feels very fresh and very new to have the master class across the Atlantic and have and watch the two of you communicate in such a sync. That was pretty incredible. Thank you both. And now we will welcome Jennifer on stage. Jennifer will perform first movement of Schubert's Sonata in A minor, D784. Welcome, Jennifer. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. I love this sonata and thank you for beautiful. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, yes, wonderful. Thank you. Again would like to thank you for the wonderful choice of this sonata. I love this, and I find it exceptionally difficult, and I will explain why. And probably you already know that. And thank you very much for great playing. And so we don't have much time, so let's focus on something which we need to talk about. For me, this sonata is mostly an intellectual challenge, or it's a challenge in anything. There are, of course, some technical difficulties there, but they are kind of unexpected. They lay mostly in something which we all consider to be very easy. For example, in chords, we need to make this. I remember. My approach to chords changed when one of my teachers said, "You know, I don't like this pianist, but she was able to shock me by just one chord, by making this memorable in sound." And I suddenly realized that why don't I use mm, my artistic goal in finding memorable color of every chord. This is exactly the case in this sonata, where you don't have really technical challenge. You don't need to be very fast, etc. But you need to make these chords as picturesque, as depicting, as different as possible. So of course, you need a great hall, you need a great piano, and you have a rather good piano, but at the same time, we need to listen to these uh, walls which are not near but far away. And it makes you suddenly realize, if you practice in big halls, that you can somehow coordinate, you can somehow tame these sound waves when they have enough space to be developed. So this idea of making sound not just here, not being born in the keyboard which is near you, but somewhere far away, makes you touch the key differently. So it applies both to la, mi, da, ra, and both to chords. So I would always try to, imagine that there is a color and there is a air. I can sing ah, but I also can sing ah, including some just empty air in my sound. And sometimes I need this quality in piano sound too. Not just la, mi, but like you are sliding on the surface of sound. Can you try to touch it? Yeah. Yes. 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 You should just now. I just give you a little new perspective in this. So it needs some practicing. You need to be comfortable, relaxed, and also to try to make it probably deeper or slower or with priority of right hand or left hand. You need to do it very different ways to understand how many different ways you can do. And it is especially difficult in chords because they produce so many balances between every neighboring notes there. You understand what I mean?
Yeah. Hmm.
So that's a big thing to do here in this sonata. When you played even now for the second time, you slightly push too much sections of phrase which are not supposed to be heavy. For example, there are downbeats, la mi, and there are upbeats, and la mi re mi do si la. Yeah, if you sing like that, I would suspect that you are not a good singer. Why? Because you pay even equal attention to every note.
Oh.
So that's the beginning of a very important consequences. Don't forget that Schubert was a predominantly author of song. Of course, he wrote a lot of things. For his 31 years old life, long life, he wrote surprisingly much. But the most amount of he wrote of what he wrote was songs, more than 1,000 songs. Not like symphonies, like chamber music. He's genius in everything, but especially in songs. So his thinking is connected with the word, and words in all European languages have very, very important rule. Two syllables, two neighboring syllables in a speech are never on the same level.
Yeah.
So you simply cannot ta ta. You cannot sing this way. You need to show me, for example, la la mi re mi do si la mi do la. So you skip short notes because you cannot really push them. You skip notes without spoken syllables, but you emphasize those which are supported with the bass or on the downbeat or both.
Mm-hmm.
For example, second stanza, la re mi fa mi la. You cannot re mi fa mi. You cannot do that. In spite of forte, in spite of crescendo, you still need to support this very basic musical communicative point, which is very, very related to a speaking point. I cannot speak like this. It is impossible to listen to me. So you need to slide more. So let's just play the first phrase and try to show me, just show me, like I'm your student and you're my teacher, which notes are downbeats and which notes should be lighter, slider. So that's better, that's better, that's clear. But
Mm-hmm.
one question, ta ta tam,
Yeah.
you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Re, do, si, la, mi, do, la. Also, how many of these summits, local summits, should be? Do we need to push the first note? La, mi, re, mi. Probably not. Probably just one in a. By the way, composers, clever composers, would always help you with a slur. So if there is one slur, da ra ra ra, there will be one summit in them.
Right.
Slur is how energy is being born.
Mm.
Tam pam pam pam. It's chopped and it's divided in four. Tarararam under one slur means that there is one mutual meaning in all these four notes. Can you try to make it tarararam like one gesture in dancing? So, and for me as a listener, there are
Mm-hmm.
two events. One is tarararam, and second one is tamparararam. Whereas when you play the first time, there
Mm-hmm.
was one, two, three, four, tam taram tam. So many many events,
Yeah.
not connected enough. You see,
Yeah.
so you need to sometimes just giving me sound without support. That's a lot of notes are not designed to be supported because they are not with a stressed accented syllable. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Does it make any sense?
Yes.
That's a huge, yeah, that's a huge thing. Also, there is another thing. It's a big articulational thing. Please pay more attention to light sections of your phrasing. That's one thing. And another thing is a big thing. If, again, connected with word song derivatives, if we have words, it means that we have images, meanings, and stories. We really cannot use words without connections between them. I remember a huge lesson I had from a singer. Probably you've heard about the last one of the last pieces Schubert wrote, which is called A Shepherd on the Rock. Have you ever heard of this name? A Shepherd on the Rock.
Yeah.
It is soprano, piano, and clarinet. And so I started to play. It is a very easy beginning. I will show. I will try to. Just a second. to show the music is kind of basic, something like that. And I play very simple, not seeing any challenges here. And suddenly my singer, and she was a great soprano, she's still singing, Yana Ivanilova, she's a Russian, and she said, no, you simply don't understand what is inside. This is about a distant thunderstorm. There is a lightning, to-doom, to-doom, and very distant roaring. So she doesn't know how I should do that, but she knows what is in the word. Because she sings that and she knows, and I was lazy enough not to check. Yeah, this is a great piece. It is 11 minutes of the most heavenly music ever written. Please listen to that. It is a great music. And then she gave me a great lesson to understand that everything is can mean something in image field. It's not just a phrase, but it is a story. It should be a part of probably even a visual story. Yeah, and it is especially true for some composers who write a lot of vocal music. You understand why? In Schumann case, you can find interesting connections between their vocal music and their piano music, and you sometimes just understand what they mean by compare this pattern or this tonality or this texture to something which supports the voice. You see? So in Tchaikovsky, in Rachmaninoff, yeah, plenty of examples of that. Yeah, in Liszt sometimes he wrote quite a lot of great vocal music too, but especially in Schubert case. So when you have this tararam tam taram pam pam, yeah, you have a solo voice, very lonely, very hopeless, and then you have torum torum. It sounds like a old man. Is walking without a real goal. And then there is something tatam, pa 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 pa, this second subject, which is much more beautiful. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
So, and I'm already starting some story. Probably it's not, it's something very superficial, but at the same time, the story helps me to realize what kind of color do I need. If I'm a composer, what instruments would I use here? Will I use your body language when you play? Your body language says you are very emotional. You try to feel everything. You are very you feel empathy. You feel um, involvement, emotional involvement. That's all a language of a young person. And this sonata for me depicts something which is hopeless. He was able to do that in spite of his young age. Do you know examples of his tragic music? Anywhere
Um,
apart from this sonata?
his his other sonatas.
Like what?
Um, there's the other another A minor sonata as well.
There are three of them.
One of
Yeah,
the
probably you know this one. This is again a song. That's heart-rending music, which is called Leiermann. Uh, I don't know in English, by the way, how it will be. It's the last song of the Winterreise.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, last
Winterreise.
song where there is no hope, no future. Everything is lost. You are forever alone. And that's what I feel in this sonata too. Without showing that, without being young, without making this probably gestures of your body, you should concentrate it on the symbolic meaning of every note. And while you are moving, I feel that you don't feel enough, you don't control your sound enough. You feel, but you should put all your energy into acoustic level. So I would not move here. I would not help with my body, you understand?
Yeah.
Because you show that you are emotionally involved, and that's exactly what is not not a language of an elder people. So can you try to make this symbolic meaning like your every gesture is a lot of meaning, that's why you should not spend them. And slightly faster. And don't forget about sliding notes. Can you begin? Oh, did you notice what you did? So why do you need this massage? This is uh, wiping. No, no. Please, you touch the piano, and the sound starts without you showing that. It's difficult, but you need to be an actress a little here. Weak endings. Yes, that's. Go on. Look at the endings of this. For me, that's better. That's better. It seems even more dull, but at the same time, it invites me to guess what's next. I'm more focused on the future of what you are doing, but not on the current situation with every note changing it. You see, you give me not enough information. That's why I'm curious. So that sometimes you need to show that you are just above. You said, bye bye, Earth. I'm far away, and you see this Earth from a big, big distance, from above. You see? So not paying attention to every little mountain there. So I would even emphasize this uh, weak endings. You have ta-ra, pa-pa, second one. Ta-da-ra, again the weak one. And the weakest one is the last one. You understand what I mean with weak? Weak.
Yes.
Just sliding without any added push. Yeah, yeah, begin, please. Or yeah, so you have again four. That's better, but that's tentative, kind of tentative. It is you need to have this as a habit. You see. Also, you have four similar rhythmical events, so it means that you need to subordinate them somehow. So I would do them a little differently. With probably if you know European poetry, including Russian poetry, we all always have this four lines structure. Tara-tara-tara-dam, 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 tara-tara-tara-dam. So, and it means that it is four lines, German poetry included. Fourth is the most important. It's kind of conclusive one. So if you have la, fa, sol, fa, la, si, do, mi, do, I would allow myself a little, not rubato, a little change. I would not call it ritenuta, only in the fourth one. Little, because it is the last one. So can we go on? La, yeah. What I hear? Da 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 pa pa. In this long note, I don't hear the continuity. Da, ti. For me, it's a strong thing. It's a strong part. You are less spectacularly moving, I would say, but you are much stronger inside. Your power, which exists in your body language, should go to acoustic.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to squeeze long note, and all the energy is spent during this long note, and what remains for the next one is a very very little tiny sound. Da ra ra da ra. By the way, that's exactly what string instruments are doing. That's exactly what singers are doing. They have a very similar thing. Ta. So they cannot avoid this effort. You see? Can you imitate them?
Mm-hmm.
Like cello, violin, or Fischer disco. Try to not to dance it. Weak, weak. You see, the beginning was very good, but still, as soon as you reached forte, you try to imitate Liszt style with a lot of jumps. It goes without your control. You need to control everything.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we cannot live without control. So I would imitate the difficulty to go up. At some age, it's very evident. You see,
Mm-hmm.
da da da. You show me that you are emotionally involved, and I want you to show that you are tired. So, uh, let's go to the second subject.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he puts a lot of difficulties, and he clearly has in mind chamber quatuor.
Okay.
Tam, ti, 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 ti. Can you do it? I think it is in E. Yeah, this is already recapitulation. Yeah, in
Yeah.
major. Mhm. Jennifer, Jennifer,
Mm-hmm.
look. You see, I do too much. Of course, you're playing much better than I'm showing now. But you have to avoid that.
Yeah.
It's like at the end of this gesture, and alto. I forgot. I never play that. So just I have no. You see, I try to make it clear, but just once in every in a phrase.
Every. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
And also, instead of doing them separately, I try to cover technique, which is piano technique of making the sound, which is vertical, and change it to horizontal phrase making. Hmm. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Viola. That's better. That's better. But Jennifer, you need to make it your own language. You see.
Yeah.
Now you're doing what I'm asking, but now you have to change to appropriate it into your own language. You see, that's a
Yeah.
difficult thing because you need to kind of want it, and
Yeah.
so when you have this list. When you have this forte, it is much more difficult than forte, because forte makes natural accents which we have to eliminate here. So whereas you see,
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, can you try to do that in this very phrase from here? We return back a little. You know, or
Hmm.
Toro. You remember, that's better. That's better. Each time it's slightly better. But one more important thing. Do you remember what I started with?
The quality of the chords.
Chords, and to include the silence inside the chord. So as soon as you have forte challenge, try to imagine that this is not ah, but what I'm doing. I'm skipping all notes. I simply need forte only here.
Hmm.
Or probably here too. But all the rest is just an air. It has no support. So instead of doing that, 6 notes, I'm doing. You see,
Hmm.
I include piano inside forte. It's like a picture of 19th century romantic paintings. If you remember these paintings, it is a figurative, beautiful landscapes, and there is light, and always there is a shadow. Include the shadow, piano, inside from here. Can you do it from here? Including piano. Do you hear piano inside these 3 notes?
Um.
Or better?
Yes.
You see?
Yeah.
You see? You hear the difference?
Yes.
Or it's not just more piano, less forte. It's a very, very different balance. That's why I started with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Any place. Now, now, you are missing. You can take any tempo. probably without tempo at all. I just need you to feel this potentially very beautiful color when you include some of the piano inside in some notes. Yes, that's already better. Yes, that's better. So, yeah, a little hint, very, very simply speaking. If you have six notes in a vertical chord, which is a normal case here, yeah, you need to use your jewelry imagination how to combine it. Forte, forte, piano, 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 piano. This is the simplest. Can you do it from above? Just any chord. Yeah. Try to make it like a jewelry. You're choosing beautiful stones. And slightly deeper. You know, for me, it sounds much more beautiful.
Yeah.
It's very easy thing, but you need to wish it. You see? So we need to go to, I think, to finish with you. But I told you the most basic things here. So there is always connection with the whole European art of early Romantic era, which is mostly predominantly connected with words, words. Second thing, try to find the technical challenges in about everything, like chords.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, even here, but you will have to do it too. It's very rapid there and rather difficult, but you will have to do that too. And then uh, the most important, basically important, phrasing.
Mm-hmm.
Ta is should be eliminated.
Yeah,
Okay.
for
Good
sure.
luck and thank you very much, Jennifer, and thank you very much for bringing this fiendishly difficult sonata, which I love
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you so
Good luck.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Pavel. That was fantastically enriching experience for me to observe this. Jennifer, I would like to ask you a question if you don't
Yes,
mind.
of course.
Um, you're a very young artist, but you're already accomplished and you've traveled and performed in many countries by now, and on many different venues. I know you traveled to Europe and to Asia and to many different places. Right now, you're in the most comfortable place probably in the whole world, in your own home.
Where
Did
is it? In Virginia.
Yes, in Northern Virginia. Yeah, I live there.
so, and I can feel that you're in your own element in your surroundings. But did playing today from your living room in any way take away that very special vibe of an actual performance for you?
I would say, I wouldn't say that it took away. I would say it was a different way to think and to feel while I'm playing because I would kind of say it's almost as if I'm playing as if like in a studio, a recording studio, and yet I have an audience, which is everyone here, and I feel it's much more intimate of a setting than, a huge concert hall, right? We have people sitting all the way in row Z, and it's different, for solo piano concerts. Um, you don't quite feel this connected, I think, in such a big setting versus here. It's much more of a intimate setting, which is somewhere between like a recording studio and a very intimate home concert, which I really like about that. I think it's very warm and very intimate, and we can connect better, I think, in some ways. Um, Although, of course, concert halls are always fun. They're always the reverb, the amazing acoustics, and there's a kind of power and like energy that you feel that is very different in a concert hall. But the energy at home is
irreplaceable, right?
Interesting you mentioned the concert hall and the acoustics and the reverb of it. Um, Now that you have that imaginary connection with people thousands of miles away, does that somehow feed on your imagination of creating the sound in that large space with the echoes? Or do you actually have to have that physical aspect of it in order to connect with the sound and silence play in your playing?
I think it's almost paradoxical because in such a small setting versus a very big concert setting, although, we kind of use the concert hall's energy that we feel while we play when we walk on stage, when, the audience applauds for us, we kind of use that in our performance, and that helps with our imagination, especially for a grand piece, like if we played Mussorgsky, here versus in a huge concert hall, it's a very different feeling. I think, in a smaller setting, you would have to really work a lot more on your imagination. And yet, I feel that because it's such an intimate and personal setting, you're more free to let your imagination go actually. So even though it's kind of weird to think that if we played pictures, Mussorgsky pictures at an exhibition in your small home studio, it shouldn't it doesn't seem to fit because it's such a huge piece. And yet, because you're able to focus much more in your home setting, it actually works out somehow. That's my take. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but
Okay. Well, thank you for the comments.
thank you.
This is very interesting, and thank you very much for being
Thank
part
you,
of this.
Jennifer. Yeah,
Thank you
and
so
say
much.
hello to your teachers. I love them. Yeah.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Okay, and now we will invite on stage Alexander. Alexander, welcome, and thank you for joining us today. Alexander will perform first movement of Beethoven's Sonata in A flat major, Opus 110. Enjoy.
Thank you, Alexander. That's one of the most difficult piece, and you've played it beautifully. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
And yeah, wonderful. So I say that thank you very much for this difficult piece to be presented very, very well and convincing. Let's try to think about the next steps, which you probably will consider interesting or important, if you please. You know what I appreciate in your play a lot? It's evident that you know the text very thoroughly, very detailed. I can detect your knowledge in about every small detail, in phrasing, in slurs, in crescendo, which is difficult and sometimes difficult to do and to understand what Beethoven meant. Yeah, but you show that all, and it's a very, very faithful, you follow the text very faithfully. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. For me, one more step is necessary to do to make it all work as something which doesn't stand apart from the musical message itself. Do you understand me? Sometimes you show these details too clear. For example, ta ta ra tam. You show me that this is the ending of a slur, and before ta ra pam pam para, this beautiful top. You understand what I mean?
Yes, I
The
understand.
place. You show it probably including some unnecessary rubato or unnecessary, almost didactic amount of that. So for me, the dosage is the key word in your case. Probably you should not show that you are a pupil, playing mostly to your teacher. When you play like that, I detect that you have a habit to play to your teacher more than to the audience. Probably what you are playing now would be much more natural, which would sound more natural in a big hall, but not in the this is like acting for movie, for cinema, and acting in a theater, bühne, in dramatic theater. You have to
Yeah.
make your face different. It will be a very, very unnatural if you play like an theater dramatic actor in a movie. You see? So now I see that your dosage is rather big, and I detect that you are correct, but probably I would make it slightly. You know, I do everything for clever people. They would know themselves. I'm just not doing this, giving them information as it is, but I give a half of information. The most clever would understand. So that's what is necessary in your case. By the way, it will give this mysterious character to your playing. Sometimes you sound like you've learned it, which I appreciate that, but one more mysterious, almost a ritual quality of this music is necessary. Also, the whole sonata is highly, highly unusual. You can detect the seeds of almost monothematic approach in all movements. You have details which Beethoven starts in the beginning, initially repeated in every movement. That's one of the most interesting intellectual challenges of the world. I mean, the sonata. Beethoven is exceptionally clever here, and you know that, but you should make it as a ritual hint. I have a little thing, and you understand. I have so symbolic doesn't mean that it is a big thing. You should develop your mind into understanding that. You see, you do. You show me too much of ready decisions. You see,
Okay.
that's one thing. So what I would suggest to you, to play it like a witness. When you do something too much, it includes yourself in your own music making. I will do. I never played that sonata, so forgive my show. But if I do something like that, I'm giving you my portrait. For if I do too much, it shows that there is no objective reality. There is only me in everything. But if I do it just a little, my reaction on something which is far away, detached from me, then for me that's the case. That should be the case in this sonata. The message of this sonata is so big. It's much more than me. It's much more than you. It's much more than any one of us. But it's just beyond it. And also the ending of the sonata shows that this huge big thing which happens twice at the end. So me is just a witness, a small modest witness compared to. That's why my choice of meanings would be very careful. Can you try to do the same, but the amount is homeopathic?
Okay, yeah, I'll try.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
I will never steal anything you already can do. So let's try to make this little experiment.
Okay.
You know, it's already better. It's already better. It sounds like your future in everything is more important than your current, your present situation. It is already focusing my attention to the future. What can help? There is one thing which can help even more. When you play these repeated notes, imagine that they are moving music forward, something like that. Sorry. Instead of, I think about D flat. And then again, I think about this note. So, and I'm moving this phrase towards this note, trying to imitate a flight, not steps, but flight or swim. That's especially difficult in the repeated notes, because in hypothetic string quartet, repeated notes for strings are very easy, but for pianists are much more difficult. That's why don't make them heavy. Light. That's better. Yeah, and here, look. I imitate that it is a difficult, every step is difficult. Sometimes I have to, but do I need to do it here? Maybe, just simple, like it goes itself without my help. Sometimes, for me, this is a very interesting dimension we sometimes simply forget to talk. Dimension of resistance. How resistant is this environment in which this music lives? For example, the resistance of Brahms' phrasing. Rather heavy, I would say, almost like an ocean. You can imitate this resistance, you can go slow tempo without losing much, because Brahms has this almost sculpture. But if you do the same in Scriabin music, you would fail, because Scriabin environment of a light fire or probably air, but not an ocean, you see. I mean the late Scriabin. Here, for me, is not too heavy. By the way, it's almost the ending of sonata. I mean, yeah, it's already there. So can you do the same? By the way, I interrupt myself because there are so many things and so little time. When you have this trill, don't forget that this is almost a romantic cadenza. It is a beautiful bridge between this point and this point. It should not have its own support. There is no columns in between. So you have light, 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 and then it's down. So sometimes you play, I hear it as something deeper, and then rather heavy, rather real shake, and then you stop it again. So for me, there's too many unnecessary columns in this beautiful romantic bridge. Can you do it just from here? Of course, much better. Thank you very much. That's much better. It's more difficult. I understand. It's more difficult, but you managed to do that. Can you go on? So several things to say. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but again, I'm just using something which you present to show others what is priorities. Not a mistake, but you have to focus your ear towards continuity of this note. It should not interrupt. You know, that I call it effect of Mona Lisa. When you go to Louvre, I hope it will happen one good day, and I go to Louvre again with a lot of tourists. But you see a lot of tourists, backs, and Mona Lisa is a very small picture, and so you don't see Mona Lisa, but you see the backs of tourists. So that's the backs of tourists, and that's Mona Lisa. So this effect is not a welcome thing. Let it float. Let Mona Lisa reign. Then you, as soon as you've reached this crescendo, why do you have the resistance suddenly increased? Don't turn Scriabin into Brahms. Yeah, you understand what I mean? Yeah, easy. You're a witness. You don't really push these things; they go itself. Can you start? For me, that's too much. That's too much. I mean, rubato-wise, the phrase itself is much better. I like the phrase now. Your balance is much better now. But when you have this ta ra 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 ta ta, oh, there is a feeling of a victory, of a difficult victory over what? Who is the loser? Yeah, for me that's too much of rubato. Also, that's only the beginning of a very important thing. It doesn't contain too much drama. I mean, this first movement, but it is a wonderful, beautiful corridor which leads to much more important rooms. I mean, the third movement. You see? So you go to the corridor, this feeling that you're going through something which is probably beautiful but less important. Now you suddenly turn this little section with your ritenuta, turn into something very important. And I don't feel affinity. I don't feel that it sounds natural. You should sound very, very natural here. So let's skip something. There are difficulties, plenty of difficulties with this 30 seconds. As soon as can you go pam pa pam pa pam? The ending of the passage.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Again, I don't know. There's so many things. There are a crowd of ideas in my head. So I'm save me, please. What I find necessary when you have this very gentle tonal changings, you should make different color of your sound. Not rubato, but color um, is not that, and is not that, and is not. Without doing rubato, you should show me that this is a different or temperature, or like electric field. So you play, and I simply don't feel how you treat them, the harmonical changes. For me, this harmony is a huge information, which is important both for educated and non-educated musicians. That's why, by the way, this is the answer why the majority of our music is tonal music, because tonal language is a universally understood language, be it folk music, pop, rock, classic music, everything is tonal, mostly everything. So for me as an educated musician, but also for anyone, is a difference. When you go through it, I sometimes don't feel that you are sensitive enough to that. Can you try to make it a little attenuation, a little nuances different? Just from there. Yeah. Excellent. Stop. I stop you because I love it. It's suddenly much more effective. Your ear work, your sensitivity of your ears is suddenly showing your more of your talent, much more. So you should not hide that. And by the way, in this case, your rubato is immediately much more natural. I can understand it as a part of your sensitive, probably hypersensitive world, but not as something which is a foreign makeup. You see, which is not connected with the real text. So for me, sensitivity, which you've shown now, is a talent. So can you do it? This is very difficult here. That's a very difficult. It's a challenge for piano because so almost no pedal. You know what? I would construe this note, this first and then.
Okay.
No, yeah, don't neglect this. It's quite doable, I would say. And also Chopin would use the same thing in his preludes and his sonatas. So separate resolution of low voice and then upper voice. Yeah. So, but first, who invented this idea was Beethoven here. Also, if you play it in time, but very gently, and then you add upper voice, kind of much louder, this will move your downbeat to upper voice. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, can you try to do it?
So you think that the C should be like the downbeat, but only by playing it more than the
Yeah, you know, it is just my perception. It should
yeah
sound like a downbeat if
yeah
you do it beautifully. Because actually, this is downbeat. But this louder note
okay
makes the
yes
downbeat kind of, yeah, postponed. Very gentle. Yeah, and by the way, there is a wonderful side effect. It permits you to play pedal clean.
yeah
You see?
yeah
Yes, yes. But now the last thing, you need to not to show the secret to anyone. Just very gently, very fast, and very naturally, and then suddenly it just sound beautifully. Okay, Alexander, I'm afraid I need to stop with you. There are plenty of things to discuss, and this sonata is endless, and this is and your playing is beautiful. And also, what I appreciate that you immediately grab the idea, immediately. So you are, for me, that's a good sign that you're ready for the next step
okay
in
thank
this
you very much
sonata. Okay, and thank you very much. And that's a surprisingly good quality of the sound, and being so far away. So that's my first good experience of online teaching, because all the rest I had the pleasure to teach and I had the pleasure of listening, but the quality of sound is kind of this time I hear it really good. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, and Anna.
Thank you,
Anna and the
Alexander.
team.
That's right. We'll have the team here in a moment. Alexander, I understand that you are training for a career of being on stage, performer, professional concert pianist, and you've been doing it for years. Would you say that somehow the current situation made you rethink your career choices in any way?
no I really don't think so um, obviously this is a very challenging time for many people around the world and musicians are no exception at that and are struggling very much but in the first place playing concerts is only a part of what I'm doing. I'm also teaching my students and this continuing of the lessons via online services has had a great experience and I think for my students as well as me. So this is one part which I really think just worked great besides of the obvious audio problems, the obvious quality problems, but music is such an important thing that connects us around the world and these new channels that we can use now are really great and also my experience has been that online concerts that I've given have got so great feedback and people really want to have this glimpse of their normal lives and yeah maybe we should try to see this as a motivation that we should the people shouldn't forget about us and our music and this is also why this project is so great and I hope it gets even bigger attention and now
We'll try.
we also I think there's also the thing is we shouldn't forget that there will be a time after this and now we have the opportunity to have an influence how this time will be after this and we should try to make a great environment for music and musicians and so maybe we could even think that it might be a bit better after this huge crisis but it's a long way and this is maybe a small part of it. And yeah, I hope, yeah, that you are
Thank
doing very well.
Yeah, thank you for bringing the voice of hope, and thank you for venturing in this experiment. It's something new for all of us, and thank you for being part of this program.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
And
and good luck.
I wanted to ask Pavel if we can have Pavel back in the studio. Um, you're an artist, you're a performer. You, of course, you made hundreds of recordings live and commercial, but still, your own professional life is dedicated to being on stage and to speaking your music to people directly in real time. What did this change bring to you personally?
You mean this current situation?
Yeah.
Nothing good. Nothing good. Mentally, I'm able to find some good things. There are some time where we can really stop and think and rethink and start to be hungry again. But it's my mental effort which brings that. My gut says it's a bad time, and we are losing the ability to plan. Just forgetting my own profession, the ability to plan is one of the quality of life, and I'm not able to do that. Today I got a confirmation that there will be some summer courses in Italy, which is a very positive thing, and I'm very happy to hear about something positive there. But I'm not able. I can fly there. I cannot say now if I fly or not. Nobody knows. Nobody can say that. So the situation is rather sad for everyone. But also it is not only for art, but for sport, which is a huge amount of people. I'm not among them, but it doesn't make the sport uh, existence less important to people. So I'm divided, and I'm trying to use it for to recover. To I don't practice. I'm sorry to say that. Probably I don't feel any motivation now, but I listen to the music and I work with my students, and sometimes I get motivation from where I simply cannot predict that. I got this little words down in the browser program, and suddenly I see wonderful words, unexpected. I don't mean people, and very expected and very warm words. So for me, that's a huge encouragement. So I feel happy today. Thank you.
Thank you, Pavel. You made me personally so happy
Yeah,
to hear you
in
speak.
reciprocation.
Your speaking of music and the terms and the images you speak about it really upholds my deepest beliefs and my deepest aspirations myself as a musician. Thank you for holding this up, for holding it for us, and for giving
Thank
it
you.
to the young musicians. I think it's a
Thank you.
precious
Also,
gift.
thank you for your technical efforts and technical team, because it makes it feasible. It makes it working the first time. Let's stay there.
Let's stay there. Thank you. Thank you for encouragement. And I want to thank all participants once again and our faithful viewers in the audience. Thank you for staying with us. And now I would like to bring in the technical crew, which made this possible. So please welcome our team. Come on in the frame. Here's my son, Fyodor Uspensky, and here's Frane Rusinovich. Thank you very much. And Igor Zubkovsky. We are all professional musicians, and we worked very hard on making this better quality. And we hope very much that you enjoy and stay with us and watch our next programs. And now I would like to invite everyone to also join our virtual reception. Right after I will say goodbye to you, we will play a short tutorial for anyone who would like to join us, how to do so. So please stay tuned. And with that, we'll say goodbye to everyone. See you again. Bye.